How's it going, good people? It's me, your not so good friend, Waifu Belector, the only fair human on earth, and surprise, surprise, I'm here to talk about a video game. And that game is none other than Rise of the Ronin. Jesus. Rise of the Ronin. That's it. That's the one. It's the all-new Japanese action game exclusive to PlayStation. Rise of the Ronin. Jokes aside though, let's talk about Rise of the Ronin. What's good about it? What's bad about it? And what are just the indifferent facts about it? And so without further ado, let's talk about Rise of the Neo Gaiden Fallen Dynasty. Okay, now if you don't know, Rise of the Ronin is developed by Team Ninja, known for things like Dead or Alive, Ninja Gaiden, Neo, and more recently, Wulong Fallen Dynasty. So if you've played some of their stuff, you may think you know what you're in for. And yeah, you do. Although, I don't think you know just how much you know what you're in for. You see, by all accounts, this is very much Team Ninja doing what Team Ninja does. Again. I've played a couple of their games, not counting the DOAs. I've played the first Neo, Stranger of Paradise, and now this. And this, Rise of the Ronin, is very much the other games. I've seen a lot of Wulong too, it's also that. They're all kind of the same thing. And with Rise of the Ronin, we've got it again, but in an open world. So this is essentially their Elden Ring. Which is funny because this is not Elden Ring. And I'm not even a big Elden guy or FromSofter. I don't think Elden Ring is one of the greatest games ever made, but Rise of the Ronin is firmly in a lower tier, maybe a couple of tiers down. But I realize I haven't said a ton about how Rise of the Ronin plays specifically yet, so I'll do that. So, Team Ninja make a lot of Souls-likes and games with challenging combat. They're kinda like Great Value FromSoft, with the difference being that Team Ninja Souls combat has a touch of Ninja Gaiden in that it's a lot looser and faster than most other Souls-likes. Rise of the Ronin carries this over from previous games. Plays just like their other games. Also like their other games, combat is very satisfyingly flashy in key areas, like parrying, stealth strikes, and big finishers. Although the moment-to-moment's not always great. It really is just open world Neo. Something that on paper isn't necessarily a losing formula, but it's not a winning one either, especially when it's executed like this. A big part of an open world game is the world, its ability to intrigue you, the ambiance it projects, the characters within it, and all of those things fall short in Rise of the Ronin. The world is bland, it's boring. If it's not a fight, I don't care, and even that wears off, but we'll get to that. The story is terrible, it's terribly told, it's nearly incomprehensible, and on top of that, the game's not really graphically attractive either. I mean, it's not ugly, it's not hideous. I've seen what people are saying on the internet, they're blowing it out of proportion, it's not that bad, but it is far from being impressive, right? You're not gonna be blown away with how this game looks, not at all in any sense. But it just looks like a game. It's not especially ugly, it's not especially attractive, it's just there. So honestly, when you start playing Rise of the Ronin, nothing about this game will grab you except for the bread and butter, the combat. You'll fight some guys, you'll stealth some guys, you'll parry some things, and you'll do some stuff that makes you say, oh. But unfortunately, it won't stay cool. The novelty wears off pretty fast considering how long the game actually is. And that's because combat scenarios, enemy types, and placement, the actual intricacies of the combat mechanics and AI, don't appear to be very well thought out. There are a number of elements that feel tacked on or lazily implemented as a novelty of sorts, like their idea of a dialogue system or player choice or whatever. It's really half-baked and feels like pointless a lot of the time. And then again, the characters are just unintriguing and the writing is bad, so most of the time I'm just like, who the fuck cares, right? Like, I don't care which choice I make because I don't care about these people, I don't care about this boring ass world, you know? There's also a number of missions where you're given a companion or companions that aid you in your fight or whatever, but they're largely pretty useless. They just kind of stand around and do nothing most of the time, and it just feels like a pointless mechanic that gives the game an excuse to add extra enemies to boss fights for what results in a ton of like terrible Godskin Duo-esque fights. And also maybe smaller than the other two things, the parrying, while it's satisfying when you land one and you deplete your enemy's ki with it and stuff like that, it feels finicky, like it doesn't really work all the time, or the timing is like inconsistent. It's fucking weird. Like when an enemy's gonna do an unblockable attack that you need to parry, they flash red. And sometimes to parry correctly, you need to press it as soon as they flash, but other times you need to parry when they make contact with you. And that's kind of inconsistent, and it kind of makes a mess of the combat in a lot of situations. I don't know. The flow of the game is just a bit of a mess. It doesn't feel like that to begin with though, and I think you'll be having fun. You'll be seeing and doing enough new and cool stuff to keep you really locked in for like 10 hours. And hey, 10 hours sounds good, right? Problem is, by hour 10, the game's shown its hand and played all its cards that have gotten old with at least 20 more hours of game left. And so what starts off as a good but not great experience just gets chipped away at until it's all it can muster up to just be okay at best. It's not just that the game is too long, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying, fundamentally and structurally, the game isn't very good, but I think it does a good job at tricking you early on, then makes the mistake of letting you look at it for too long, and it becomes apparent that a lot about it looks funny in the light. And I don't mean literally looking like the graphics or anything. I mean you start to look at the mechanics, you start to look at how the game plays, you start to look at the structuring, and things start to come apart. Things start to get picked apart. You start to realize why you're not having that much fun, and eventually that turns into you wondering why you were having fun to begin with, honestly. And it's because they pulled a good trick. Listen, there's nothing in this game especially fresh. There's nothing in this game that is a cut above those doing similar things. The nicest thing I can say is that it's not complete and total shit. And so Rise of the Ronin is a prime candidate for something to play if you really, really, really don't have anything else to play. But it's not gorgeous, it's not technically impressive, it's not mechanically innovative, it's functional and has some flashy combat, even if that combat is basically what Team Ninja combat always is. And you know, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much what the game is. If I had to put a number on it, 5.5 out of 10 feels right. You know, if you are on the fence about getting this or Dragon's Dogma 2, I'd go with Dragon's Dogma 2. Anyway, that's it I guess. There are my thoughts on Rise of the Ronin, a game I wasn't expecting much from that still managed to disappoint me. Whatever though, feel free to hop in those comments and do your favorite thing, telling me how stupid and wrong I am. Can't wait. But until next time, I am Waifu Blector. I am just a normal guy. I like hentai, and the voice acting in this game is really fucking bad. Goodbye.